This week on Part Out, we're going to take a 2017 Chevy Colorado ZR2 and match it up against a 2007 Jeep Wrangler JK in Drummond Island. Alright guys, so what we're going to do today is we're going to take this Chevy, we're going to pair it up against this Jeep, and what we're going to do is we're going to find 3 obstacles and we're going to do a scoring system at the end of the day to see which guy's going to be better at the end of the day. So the Jeep and the truck are going to start out with 5 points, and when we get to the obstacle, if they ever have to back up to try again, that's a point off. So whoever has the most points at the end of the day is going to be the winner. So when you're on Drummond Island and you want to do some serious off-roading, you go to Turtle Ridge Offroad Park. That's where we're at today, and what we're going to do is we're going to do an uphill rock crawl to test out these vehicles. First up is Andy in the Jeep. The JK Wrangler has a wheelbase of 95.4 inches, making this Jeep very nimble for going up and over obstacles. Protecting this Jeep from the rocks are custom skid plates along the entire bottom, and it also has Crawltech armor for the front and rear bumpers, as well as the rock sliders protecting the rocker panels. Extra ground clearance is achieved with the JKS coilover conversion lift system. Fitted up front is a worn VR10S winch in case things get a little dicey. Up next is Greg in the Chevy. Greg is going to have a slight disadvantage with having a longer wheelbase over the Jeep. Let's see how he does. The ZR2 has a wheelbase of 128.3 inches, which is still decent for an off-road rig. With that longer wheelbase, this means that the undercarriage is going to take a lot more hits from the rocks. A 4.5-inch BDS lift system was upfitted to this Colorado to give it more ground clearance. This lift allows the user to keep the DSS V-shocks that come standard with the ZR2 package. And just like that, both rigs finished the obstacle. So the first obstacle looked pretty easy. Both vehicles went up there. No one lost points. It looked simple, but believe me, when you're actually here, that is a very steep obstacle. We are now at obstacle number 2. It's going to start out pretty smooth, a little bit of rocks here and there, but we're going to get to the top of it, which is right here. We're going to have all these boulders that are like 2.5 to 3 feet in depth, and they're positioned just far enough for each wheelbase to get hung up on them. So we're going to see if we can go ahead and stretch these vehicles out. Again, Andy is going to start this round. This trail has some trees that are tucked in close to maneuver around, and this Jeep has some aluminum Nemesis fender flares to replace the bulky fender flares that come stock on the JKs. This will enable the Jeep to purely use its tires to squeeze through the trails rather than crunching its body panels. Up next is Greg, ready to crawl his way up. This ZR2 is rocking some 35-inch Falcon MT tires, and the ZR2 has those special bumpers front and rear, so they're notched out in the front corners and the rear corners, which will allow the truck to get a better approach angle for the tires to grip the rocks. The rocker panels are protected by custom fabricated rock sliders. Now it looks like Greg is pretty determined not to back this truck up to lose points. Looks like slow and steady is going to be the name of the game for this obstacle. We went and searched for obstacle number 3 and came across the Rock Garden. This will be a 2-part race featuring 2 separate obstacles to finish for time. Now the first 2 obstacles, both vehicles climbed right up, no problems, no issues at all. They're both equipped with lockers front and rear. These vehicles both traveled about 8 hours to get here, not to mention getting onto a boat to get onto the island. So we're gonna run this rock course right here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna time each vehicle to see which one's gonna do it faster. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start over at this end, and the drivers know the route that we're gonna do, but essentially we're gonna start at this end. We're gonna work our way through some of the harder portions, going over some of the bigger rocks and the divots, and then at the end they're gonna finish by trying to climb about a 3-foot little cliff rock over there. So pretty much start to finish, we're gonna see which vehicle can do it faster. The rock garden is obviously a pile of rocks, but what makes this obstacle tricky is that the rocks shift around from under the vehicle, making it difficult to get any sort of traction. A good way to combat a terrain like this is to have strong tires and air them down. This Jeep is running 37-inch Nitto trail grapplers with very strong sidewalls. It's important to air down the tires because it will increase the footprint contact to the rocks, allowing for a lot more grip. It's also important to have the right gear ratio for your rig. This Jeep is running a 4:10 gear ratio that comes stock with the Rubicon Jeep models. This will help in low-range rock crawling situations and help move the larger tire size. On top of that, this Jeep has a JKS coilover system with Fox coilovers featuring the DSC technology, which allows Andy to adjust the damping for better suspension control over the rocks. So the JKS Jeep did it in 1 minute, 33 seconds, 0.29. So we have the Colorado ZR2. It's going to go ahead and shoot right through this course, and we'll see if we can beat him. The Colorado has its work cut out for it again here with its wheelbase. If it didn't have that BDS lift system, it would for sure get high centered out here and not complete the course. The thing to think about here with the ZR2 is not only is it completely capable off-road, but it's very practical with a full bed for cargo room, full roomy interior with creature comforts like air conditioning and automatic windows. Go figure. It's definitely a truck that can be daily driven and then taken to the trails for the weekend, and you'll feel confident you'll make it home just fine. All right.
I think you got me.
129.83.
Awesome.
Good work.
Fantastic.
Yep.
This BDS lift has been fantastic for me since we got it on. It gives these trucks a heck of a lot more capability than they come with from the factory.
With the ZR2 winning the first timed run, we found ourselves back in the woods and found a rutted out hill climb with trees holding tight to the path. Let's see if the JKS Jeep can pull out a win here. Go!
Come on!
right, so the Colorado has 1846 to beat. We're gonna get ready and send it through. Let's see what happens. Colorado did it in 2057, so this one's gonna go to the Jeep.
We need to settle this shootout once and for all, and to do that, we need to find some open land. Here, we will run the best off-road tiebreaker of all time.
Okay, time for a tiebreaker. Now this is an off-road show, so we're gonna do the most off-road thing we can think of, and that's just to drag these on flat ground. So we've got the ZR2 running roughly 300 horsepower, and we've got a 3.8 liter V6 supercharged engine in this Jeep here. So this guy's pushing about 280. So we got roughly close numbers. Let's just see what's gonna happen. Winner take all. What are we doing out here?
Drag racing.
Drag, okay. All right, that's gonna wrap things up for today, guys. The JKS Jeep here proved to be the winner today by a completely necessary drag race that we had to do while we had open fields. The Colorado ZR2, this thing is packing a, you got a BDS lift on here?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So, I mean, this thing is pretty beefy. I mean, you got 35-inch Falcon tires. We've got 37-inch Nitto tires over here. We got a coilover system on this Jeep. We've got DSSV shocks on this truck. I mean, head-to-head, these vehicles were pretty evenly matched, and we had a pretty good time out here. So, Andy, thanks for coming out. Greg?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you guys next time.